In this episode, I sat down with Estelle Wallace, also known as Shrink Coach on her social media platforms. One of the many reasons I love Estelle is that she's all about the person behind the picture, and she is a big advocate of standing out from the crowd. In this episode, we talk about lots of different things, including fitness, well-being, body image, vision, family, nutrition. But this episode begins with Estelle telling us a little bit about herself and how she began Shrink Coach and where that has taken her. Really hope that you guys enjoy this episode and hope that you are inspired and challenged to be radical. And please remember to like and subscribe and follow Radical Living Podcast on our social media platforms. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook.
Thank you, Jess, for the invite. Lovely to be here. Yes, I am now, I keep saying this, am I 47 or 48? But I am 47, and I'm married to Russell, and I have a little girl who is 16. Yeah. And together, I met Russell when I was 15. Wow. Like, oh my goodness, if Charlie May met someone at 15 says I'm going to marry him, I'd be a wee bit concerned, but I can't say anything because that's exactly what I did. So yeah, I've always had such an interest in fitness, always, even at school and things like that. And to be able to do it for, people would say it's your employment, but I would say it's more a calling, to be honest, because it's something that I have such a passion for. And presently, I am managing Pure Wellness down in Green Pastures Church, and what a beautiful gym, what, you know, the community behind it and the heart behind it as well, and the people that we meet along the way. Listen, you never forget them because they just pull such strings in your heart. And yes, I am also known as Shrink Coach as well, and we will probably come to that on into the program. And it's just what God birthed inside of me. And, you know, I could have either have said that was a pipe dream, but I said that was a God dream. So pipe dreams are very different than God dreams, because God dreams happen. And when they happen, you need to hold on tight, because there is something amazing about to just push through. And with fitness and wellness, it's massive now. It's bigger than it ever will be or ever was, but it's going to get even bigger, because the seriousness of looking after our health, this is all we have to walk out our God-given call, and we need to look after it. And I think more and more people are actually getting that, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it definitely is. I just loved what you said there about it wasn't a pipe dream, it was a God dream. And it's amazing to kind of see with hindsight just all the amazing things God has done and how faithful he's been. Hasn't been easy.
No, whenever you decide to step out, you know, listen, don't get me wrong, there is amazing gyms and amazing trainers all over the world, especially even here in Northern Ireland. They are great, they know what they're doing, they're very, very qualified. But whenever you take fitness and you apply it and you land it into God's hands, it's very different, because you then step out to be to use fitness as a tool. To reach people, to see people healed, to see people restored. And that is very different than a normal personal trainer or a normal person just wanting to get someone fit. My heart for that person is that they find wholeness, complete wholeness, and whatever way that looks like. So it's not easy, because with every calling of God, there is a battle to contend with as well.
You put up a post recently, I seen it on your Instagram, and there was something just really jumped out at me, and I'm really interested in it. And I think you used the phrase bondage to food. I don't know if you put it up a couple of weeks ago. But I was just hoping that you could explain a little bit about what you mean by that, and what that is, and how it affects people, and why you're so passionate about that.
Well, I believe I got a really massive revelation regarding that. So, if you think back to all them years ago in the Garden of Eden, okay, what does Satan tempt Eve with? It was food. Okay, So it was an apple. Yeah, apples are good for you, but it was still food. So all these years later, I do believe he is still tempting us with the same old, because he's not creative, is he? He's not creative, so he will hit everybody with what their biggest temptations are. And in the world where we live in, food is one of the biggest temptations.
Yeah.
And the people who I deal with my life coaching, who struggle with emotional eating, it goes beyond just can't get away from chocolate. There is deep roots in there. There is deep hurts in there and pains. And actually they turn to food for a slice of comfort. And whenever food has, and some people would laugh at that and go, oh my goodness, you can't be addicted to food. Yes, you can. The same way you can be addicted to alcohol or whatever, it's still an addiction. And we mustn't laugh at those and those things, because they're true, and their people are hurting, and their lives are dependent upon them when they next are going to eat. And we can talk about that in a way of, just let them pull themselves together. They just have to stop going to the shop and buying it. No, it's not as easy as that, because most people who I talk to regarding this, they have a hurt, they have a wound, and they have to believe it's also the enemy will attach himself to your weakest points. Yeah. And whenever you open that up, and whenever you break all that down for a person, overeating is an actual massive problem in their life. So what I teach them to do is we break it all down, and we look into the person and see exactly where it all went wrong. And we have to find the root issue, and then we work through the triggers, and then we work to find the solution. But if you are listening to this and you have an addiction to food, I don't want you to feel ashamed, and I don't want you to feel any guilt about this, because many, many, many people, I would say, would put their hands up if they said, is this you? So if you're listening to this, just know that there's always hope out there to get you out of that wee valley.
Yeah, that's amazing. And in that journey, in that process, is there a lot of mental, that's hard, that's not easy to get somebody to go back and try and find the triggers?
No, whenever you start to talk to someone, it's amazing how many people I have, they've come to sit to me and go, no, I definitely don't think I've got a sugar addiction, no, and then the more we talk, and it's funny, and there's this light bulb moment goes on within them, going, Estelle, I have this, and I'm going, well, I kind of was picking it up, but I needed you to find this for yourself. And that's the beauty about coaching. It's allowing people to find the problem, and then together we find the solution. Because it's a mental thing, the mental barriers, all I do is slightly break down the walls, but I then allow them to kick them down.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm sure there's some incredible stories.
There's amazing stories.
And journeys, and I'm sure seeing the person have that light bulb moment,
absolutely,
is so fulfilling.
Oh, it's amazing
as well.
The room lights up, and it's hilarious, and they always go into the biggest fit of laughing, because they don't know what else to do. It's like, how did I go on all these years being bound with something that I didn't see? So always be careful about the things that you don't see, because they are the ones that's causing the most harm.
Really interesting. Did you ever, whenever you set out in this journey, Estelle, did you ever, I'm going to use the word social media influencer. Did you ever think?
I hate that word.
You don't like that word? What do you think of that? And did you ever think, because you do have influence on social media, what do you did you ever think that would happen?
No.
How do you handle that?
And as I was saying just before we came on, I was at a wee meeting many, many years ago. And there was no social media had even started. This is how old I am. But anyway, the wee man came up to me, and he actually says to me, you have a face for radio. And do you know what that means right now? I went, oh my goodness, that means I must be like ugly or something like that. And he laughed, and he said, no, God's going to use you over the airwaves. And in those days, all it was radio. But now airwaves are very, very different, Jess. We now know airwaves are social media,
everything.
They're Zoom, they're podcasts, they're absolutely everything. And God stayed true to his word. And those words that wee man prophesied have actually come to pass and more. And the word influencer or ambassador, my heart is just to be an ambassador for Christ. That is my main thing. And anything else that falls off that or comes off that, well, that is an absolute bonus. Yeah. On my social media platforms, I am not afraid to talk about my faith. You know that.
Yeah.
And so many people at the start were very much, Estelle, if you stop mentioning your faith, you'll get more followers. And you know what? I actually was like, well, do you know, this is who I am. I'm not hiding who I am. I don't pretend to be anything I'm not. And I know with keeping God on my platform that I am not reaching what the world would value as, oh my goodness, you could go further. I don't want to go further in the world. I want to go deeper in Him. And that's what makes it very different. So I'm using I would like to think, Jess, I'm using my platform also for His glory. Yeah. And I don't care, and I mean that, if people unfollow me because of my faith, well, then that is okay. Yeah. But I believe if there's 10 go and there's 10 stay, I will focus on the 10 who stayed because they need to hear the truth and love and encouragement and help to build them up. And that to me is being an influencer. Yeah. Not in the world's eyes.
Yeah, and I love that because like lots of PTs and lots of people who are in this fitness industry, it is about them and it's about getting their face out there and their work out there. But I just love that you don't care about that, and it's all about sharing your faith. And have you experienced a lot of negativity from it, or is it mainly positive?
It mainly would be positive. Yeah. You do get some people who, I've had some big marketing companies, and I've had people, whenever Shrink was born, you know, a company wanting to invest into it, wanting me to franchise it, etc., etc. But the thing is, Jess, Shrink was born of God, so it's not mine. Yeah. I'm only stewarding this. Yeah. It's not mine to sell. Yeah. It's not mine to give away. It is not mine. I am just being the steward, and I hopefully I'm being the faithful steward of this. Yeah. And the negativity sometimes can come from big companies, big marketers who want to take your business and make it something, and they don't grasp the fact is, no, I will listen to God's direction on it and where He wants me to go. And I think that's very, very, very important in this day and age. Yeah. If you own a business and if you are a Christian within the business, seek God for your blueprint, not a marketing company. Yeah. Because God will take your business further and wider than any marketing company ever could. Yes, don't get me wrong, they do an amazing job. Yeah. But if you are a Christian businesswoman or businessman, get your blueprint from God, because that is where, honestly, that is where the blessings will flow from. If you listen to Him, He will not lead you down the garden path. Yeah.
Have you always been, you're very resilient and persistent in what you do. Have you always been interested in business, or is that something that you've had to adapt to with Shrink?
It's funny, Jess, because honestly, see, when I was 13, I would have been cutting people's grass for 50p. I was like this wee person, if there was a chance, or making toffee apples or selling things. And I always, at a young age, seen things and made an opportunity out of it. Yeah. And my dad just do always say, what next, Estelle? What are you going to be thinking? And he was true, because it's so true, because when I see an opportunity, I kind of went, okay, there we go. And at 13, that's pretty young. So yeah, growing up, I continued being in fashion, and everything that I've done in my life has always been, I think, till today. You know, I was a pharmacy dispenser for years, so I learned all about medication. I know the BMF, you know, I would have known. So now when someone brings me a medical, or someone signs a medical to join online or even into the gym, I know what their medication's for. So God makes no mistakes. No. So regarding the business side of it, I do believe God has released like a special anointing for this time. I really do. And He talked to me about the business boat. And it talks in Luke about Jesus saying to Simon Peter, can I borrow your boat?
Yeah.
And Simon Peter could have stood in the edge and went, that's my profession. But he went, take it. And that's what I've done with God. God, yeah, Jesus, take my boat, you take it. And before the boat was given to Jesus, the net was empty.
Yeah.
So when you gave him the boat, he came back and that net was full. But Jesus had to say, can I borrow your boat? So how many of us are willing to this day to allow God to borrow your business boat?
Yeah.
And that's the critical thing. Listen, just give him your business boat, whether it's whatever it is, just allow Jesus to take that business boat and it will come back full. And you can stand at the side of the shore, either worried that you're not going to make it or with anticipation and excitement to know this is a new journey. So the business anointing comes upon you whenever you give Jesus what's already his back.
Yeah. Amazing. Love that analogy. Kind of going back to talking about the fitness industry, and we talked about a little bit of the business side of it there. One thing I've noticed, like really over the past, maybe you've noticed this before, but really over the past year or so, it's almost like a lot of personal trainers, a lot of fitness people have changed their focus from bodybuilding, fake tan, six pack, looking amazing, to actually looking at well-being. A two-part question in the sense that is that's always been your focus, but why do you think people are now starting to only change that for them?
I think that was always my focus. Like, I have girls with me, training with me for 12 years, you know, and you would think by 12 years they would have the bikini body and whatever. But you know what? A lot of that time is spent talking.
Yeah.
It's talking about family. I've had girls cry in the treadmill, and that's not a normal PT session, and that's why I'm not normal. Yes, I'm far from normal, and that's what I love. I'm not a normal PT, and I did put a post up: if you want a six pack and don't pick me as your PT, because I will not be able to give you those things. What I can give is encouragement, build your confidence, and and the happiness is not found in the scale; it's found inside of you. And I think a lot. What I would say, if you're looking for someone like a PT to bring you those things, like help you find your confidence, to help you find who you are, yes, to lose weight as well and to get fit and healthy, but make sure the PT who you pick has a heart for your well-being, not just to allow them just to transformation or to for you to spend a lot of money and you leave feeling elated, but then as soon as you go home and shut the door, you feel a little bit down again because the main issue has not been dealt with. We can change this outer shell. I could work so hard to change this outer shell, but if I am not dealing with everything that's going on inside of me, it's only temporary. It's only temporary. So if you're listening to this and you think, do you know what, I've done transformation, and then even talking about the strength plan as well, there's people who do the strength plan as well, and yes, they lose weight, and but then maybe 6 months later they're back to where they started. That is because they haven't actually dealt with their inner hurts and wounds. So if you're wanting to change, make sure you change inside before you focus on changing the outside, and that's where the results are. They stay and they're more permanent that way.
Yeah, and I think a massive misconception with fitness is that people think the results are on the outward, and really they don't last.
They don't.
Know what I mean?
They really don't. And most of my, listen, I have girls who I coach who can't exercise because of health conditions. Yeah. But you would think by 6 weeks later, you would think they've lost 10 stone by how they carry themselves. Yeah. Because they've got this inner confidence that no one can take away from them. If the scales don't move, it doesn't matter because their heart has shifted. Yeah. And that's the main thing.
Wow. I just think that's so rewarding as well.
So good.
And so lovely. And kind of going on to the next thing is that, just leading on from what you said, really what people are looking for, when you look all around the world and you look at different PTs and programs, really what people are looking for is that inner contentment and that inner joy. And we both know that that can only be found in Jesus and in a relationship with him. And how then, talked about having chats and women crying and treadmills, how then do you incorporate your faith and your relationship with God in what you do?
It's really funny, Jess, because the more, I believe before someone can actually find a true relationship with God, they have to find someone in which they trust. Okay. And trust comes by relationship. And there'll be people who'll come in through the gym or in through whatever I do, and they'll say to me, how do you look like that whenever you're going through that? Because I'm very open and honest with them about where I am in my life, etc., and the things that I've struggled with. But how did you cope with that? And then I just go, do you know what? It's only because of God in my life that I'm able to do this. Well, what do you mean? Does he help you that way? And I'm going, I couldn't do this without him. And then that just opens a door of my testimony. The power of your testimony is something that no one else has apart from you. And whenever the doors open that you can share what God has done in your life, you need not say another word, because people see the actual you standing in front of them. And that's the main thing. So when you get relationship, then people begin to trust you, and then you can say, it's only because of God done this in my life, and he done that in my life. And honestly, so far there's been about 79 people have got saved in Pure Gym.
Wow.
And that is not through me putting them on the treadmill and saying, do you want to meet Jesus when their final breath or anything. It's about relationship, and it's about people being healed. There's been people hurt their backs, and we lay hands if they allow us, and most people, honestly, they agree to that, and their backs have been healed, and through that they went, my goodness, God is real. God is real. And I think the more opportunities we have to prove that God is real, then the more he will prove. And it's very important that whenever you are, especially if you are looking for a personal trainer or a gym who has that Christian ethos, there's not many of them about. There is amazing PTs with amazing hearts, but to have the whole package of the Christian ethos behind them, they're very few and far between. But whenever you find that, you know that you're going, and if you're feeling down, there's many a time a PT session is a cup of tea and a chat. That is as far as it goes. But they leave feeling like they have left the weight of the world in the gym, and they go home feeling so much lighter, not because of anything I've said, but because what God has done in their life in that hour.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing that amount of people have came to faith.
I know, it's so good.
God is so good. You have a beautiful 16-year-old daughter.
I do.
What's it like being a mother? How has that impacted what you do? And does it give you an extra drive and passion to lead a positive example of health and of fitness and well-being?
It's really funny because I remember being 15 and walking into my mum and went, Mum, I don't want any more chips ever. I want to get healthy. And honestly, see, at 15, I made that decision that I was like, I'm going to get healthy. And Charlie May from no age has come to all my classes. She's sat colouring in since she was 2, and the girls who are still with me can't believe, she's grown up and she's this age, and she's watched her mum. But one thing she's never seen me is weighing myself. Never. She's come to class. I've actually in class gave her a packet of Haribos while I've done class. And do you know why? Because kids should be able to eat sweets without feeling any guilt or shame. Everything should be in moderation. And I've brought Charlie May up in a way of food is not bad. No food is bad. No exercise is bad. And I've brought her up to know that fitness is more than what you do. It's who you are. And even now, she's come to the realisation, around the same age as me, I didn't say anything to her. She is now beginning to eat better, like especially over lockdown, I think, because I was doing that many exercises. Okay, Charlie, let's go. And even over lockdown, you just see her wee shape changing, her health, and I encourage healthy eating. Okay, we do healthy eating in our house, but I would never say to her, you can't have that or you can't have that. It's her decision. And when you give someone the choice themselves, then the power is in their hands. And being a mum in this has opened my eyes to what little I see they soak in. So if you're a mum and you're listening to this, please never let your child hear how much you hate your body and how much you detest your weight. And don't let them see you constantly weighing yourself either, because they will believe that your day and your happiness is based on a number. And that is not the way life should be. It should be based on the joy, the life, the breath in your lungs for another day of living. So listen, tiny eyes see big things. So protect your children in that. And honestly, you'll get to Charlie May when they're 16, 15, and they will make their own decisions as well. Yes, encourage healthy eating, but please don't make it like a place of you have to. If you say to someone, you can't, instead of you choose. If I say to Charlie May, you can't, I'm taking the power from her. If I say to her, you choose, then she has to decide between healthy and not so healthy. Give them the choice.
Just to kind of finish us off, Estelle, we've touched on a lot of stuff, and you've said some amazing things and given some amazing insights. What would you say to somebody listening to this who is wanting to stand out from the crowd and is wanting to be radical, and whether it's their sphere of influence, whether it's in the fitness industry or it could be in something else? What would you say to them if they're wanting to do that?
You know, one thing I say whenever we get to heaven and Jesus says, what did you do with what I give you? And you have a regret that you didn't do what you could have done because you were people pleasing. You're going to regret that big time. And what I would say to everybody, see the dream, the God dream, not the pipe dream, the God dream within each and every one of you. You have to make that happen. God gives it, but you have to walk it out. And what I would say is, in this world, it's all about clones. I don't know about you, but I go up the town and there's all the wee young girls, they look the same. Don't aim to look the same. And it's not even about, be different to stand out, because Jesus needed kissed in the cheek to be recognized. Okay, so he didn't initially stand out. Okay, so it wouldn't necessarily be about standing out. It's about remaining in your purpose and remaining in your calling despite peer pressure. And when I say that, I want people to dress how they want. I want people to have a hairstyle how they want. I want people to live who they are, because it's okay to follow someone on Instagram and like their outfit. That's all perfect. And there's some beautiful outfits, and there's beautiful girls out there as well. And that's amazing. Let's encourage each other in that. But don't become a clone of someone else to help you fit in. Okay, so God has given us our own DNA, and your print should be left over everything you touch. So if it was you, Jess, people know you for what you do in coaching for Christ. That's Jess' print. That's Estelle's print. That's whatever. So your print should be left, and people should know that's Estelle or that's Jess. And that's the beauty of it. And it's not in a boastful way. It's in a way of, no, you know what? God's given me a calling, and I am going to do my utmost to make this happen. So when I get to those pearly gates and Jesus says, what did you do with what I give you? I will have a list as long as my arm. I hope he has it still to sit on, because he's going to need it to sit down. And that's what it is. Never live in regrets, and never let someone stop you from fulfilling God's purpose for you. That is the critical thing, because you will regret that. And whenever you live in regret, you've missed life. So don't let it happen. Shine bright and absolutely believe in yourself as well. That's the big thing. You can have a call from God, but until you believe it for yourself, it's not going to have an impact. Okay, you're born to make an impact, and you were born to leave your print on everything you touch, and that's the key.
Estelle, thank you so much. And for anybody listening this, I I know I've been inspired today.
Thank you.
And I just love your story. I love what you do. And if you want to follow Estelle on Instagram, it's Shrink Coach.
Shrink Coach.
And then Facebook,
it's still Shrink Coach.
Still Shrink Coach.
But this is what I want to say to you all as well. Even though I am those people, I am Estelle Wallace.
Yeah, absolutely.
And God can give you a platform.
Yeah.
But never forget who you are off that platform. You are who He's christened you to be.
Yeah.
And a platform is only a tool. But you are who you are, and God's called you by that name, and that's where you need to find your expression from as well. Platforms are brilliant. Yeah. But who you are is more important.
Yeah. Estelle, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jess.
Really appreciate it, and hopefully have you on again soon.
Yes, thank you.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to listen to our latest episode of Radical Living podcast. Hope that you are encouraged by what Estelle had to say throughout the episode. If you want to share anything that challenged you or spoke to you, please get in contact via our social media. We can be found on Instagram and Facebook. Again, thank you so much for your support. I just want to say a massive thank you to Estelle for coming down and sharing about her experience and how she uses her platform to inspire others to be their true selves. Guys, thank you so much. Remember to like and subscribe and follow the Radical Living podcast. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, YouTube, and please remember to share our podcast on social media. We want to reach as many people as possible and inspire them to embark on this journey of radical living.